For more than a decade, Carl Froch has stood as one of British boxing's most unapologetic warriors, a man defined by grit, durability, and the kind of old-school toughness that feels almost mythical now. He retired on top, with the roar of 80,000 fans at Wembley still echoing behind him, leaving the sport with his legacy intact and his chin unbroken. But in boxing, legends don't always stay retired. Sometimes all it takes is one spark, or one YouTuber calling himself a fighter. That spark arrived when Jake Paul, the internet's most polarizing boxer, once again inserted his name into a conversation reserved for real champions. It was subtle at first, a comment here, a headline there, but Froch heard it. And when Carl Froch hears something, he doesn't let it slide. Suddenly, at 50, the Cobra started to appear in training clips. Lean, sharp, moving with a purpose the world hadn't seen from him in years. Fans who once said he was done began whispering the unthinkable. What if Carl Froch actually comes back to fight Jake Paul? It sounds absurd on paper. A 3D vision gap in experience, a generational divide measured not in years, but in cultures. Jake Paul represents a new era of boxing, one built on viral clips, pay-per-view hype, and social media callouts crafted to ignite controversy. Froch, on the other hand, comes from the era of wars. Pascal, Groves, Kessler, Butte. He fought champions. He fought killers, and he fought with a pride that didn't rely on clickbait. But maybe that's exactly why this matchup is gaining steam. The clash isn't just physical, it's philosophical. Old school versus new school, honor versus business, legacy versus relevance. As Froch showed off his physique online, surprisingly sculpted, almost shockingly ready, fans didn't laugh. They leaned in. There was something too real about it. He didn't look like a retired fighter trying to relive the glory days. He looked like a man who genuinely believed he could shut down a trend he considers disrespectful to the sport he bled for. And in every interview, Froch's tone only added fuel. Calm, confident, dismissive in a way only a true veteran could be. The kind of dismissive that says, "You're not on my level, and you never will be." Meanwhile, Jake Paul stayed silent. But his silence wasn't indifference. It was strategy. He knows exactly how to build anticipation. Every time his name gets linked to another legend, his audience expands. Every time an old warrior teases a comeback, the boxing world debates whether Jake Paul is crazy or a marketing genius. And he sits in the middle of it, crafting the narrative the way only he can. But make no mistake, Carl Froch isn't doing this for views. Froch doesn't chase clout. Clout ends up chasing him. When he talks about Jake Paul, there's an unmistakable edge in his voice. It's the tone of a fighter who doesn't want to entertain a circus, but also won't allow the sport he loves to be mocked. Deep down, the question isn't whether Froch can beat Jake Paul. Most fans already believe he could dismantle him even today. The real question is whether Froch would actually step into a ring again for a fight he feels is beneath him, or whether the spectacle, the payday, and the urge to remind the world who he is might finally pull him back into the lights. So here we are, in the middle of a storm no one asked for, but everyone is watching. Froch looks ready. Paul looks calculated. And boxing, as always, looks chaotic, unpredictable, and perfectly designed for drama. Because when a legend hints at a return, the sport listens. When a disruptor like Jake Paul challenges the system, fans argue. But when their paths cross, suddenly, everything feels possible. If Froch steps into that ring, it won't just be another celebrity matchup. It'll be a collision between eras, a test of authenticity, and maybe the final statement from one of Britain's greatest champions. And if Jake Paul accepts, it could be the biggest risk or the biggest payday of his career.